Hi everyone, welcome to another Q&A session with me where I answer all of your questions. You all submitted some fantastic ones this time, but I had enough for about a 5-hour video. So if I don't get to your question, it's because I didn't have time. I've written all of them down and we'll answer them next time. But I do today have ones that I have not answered yet. And as always, you can look in the box below if there's a topic you'd like to skip to, or if you want to come back to this video and only watch a certain part of it. I listed all the topics and their times below, so just click on the time and you can skip to it. So the first question, what is your favorite role to perform, and what is one role you have always wanted to perform and have not? My favorite role, and I think it was my best role, was Juliet. That was a huge, huge dream of mine to dance that role. It felt right. That character was just me. I absolutely loved it. I think other people said it was my best role too. And a role I have not done is Manon in Manon. If you don't know what that is, it is a ballet based in France, and she has to basically decide between love or money. Beautiful, beautiful ballet by Kenneth Macmillan. Many companies do it. So that's the dream, to dance Manon. Do you have any tips on expression and projection? I often find it difficult to concentrate on something else apart from maintaining proper technique during class. Yes, you do in class need to concentrate on technique. That's where you build strength. That's where you build alignment. But as I've been talking about with my students who take my online classes, you still have to be interesting. You still have to give the choreographer or the teacher or the auditioner something to remember you by, something that makes you interesting. So try, and this sounds really crazy, try taking class as a character. Pick a ballet character, like we just talked about Juliet. Okay, say I'm going to take class as Juliet today. How would she take class? You know, and not literally act, but if you have a character in your head, or you know, you can pretend you're Odile from Swan Lake. She would dance entirely different from Juliet. And you don't have to tell anybody about it, but it's just kind of a mental mind game, so you can have a story happening in your head. That's how you build artistry, is finding little things in class that, you know, moments. What's your timing like? Maybe you're doing a dégagé combination. You can figure out how to stop and finish, and stop and start, and maybe pause. You know, so it's not just monotonous all the time. So it's playing around with the music, it's having a character in your head, which sounds so silly, but it works. So say, I'm just going to, and again, you don't have to tell anybody about it, I'm today going to take classes Odile, how would she dance? Do you still keep in touch with any dancers and old friends from New York City Ballet? I do occasionally, not as much as I would like to. They are all very, very busy. They do their own thing. You know, now I'm on my own schedule. And it's also at the start, especially when I left, it was very, very difficult for me to even see any ballet at all, or talk to any of those people, or hear about what they were doing, because I was so sick and I was really, really struggling. So I kind of retreated to my own world. But I do, yes, I do talk to some of them still. In a performance, would you rather dance a very energetic role like Odile, or a slow and smooth role like Odette? Definitely I am a dramatic, lyrical dancer. So Odette, for me, when I performed Swan Lake, Odette for me came naturally. Odile was a complete 180 of who I am. You know, the spicy, seductive, evil person. It was very, very fun to dance, but I much prefer dramatic adagio roles like Juliet. That was definitely my strength, still is, and that's what I really love doing. How do you keep from getting super frustrated with yourself in class? I get so frustrated because when I dance, it looks bad to me. I get frustrated to the point I want to cry. Any tips? I think you just have to remember to take one day at a time, and then it's never going to be perfect. I think I've talked to you all about this before, that unlike other athletes, gymnasts, skaters, skiers, swimmers, we build, we keep improving. We're not about scores. We're not about who has the fastest time, who has the highest numbers. We can fix it the next day. We keep building. We keep working. It's never going to be perfect. But somebody like a gymnast who, you know, you see the gymnasts who vault, their entire life depends on 8 seconds. They vault, they either hit it or they don't, and they either win the gold medal or they don't. So with dancers, just try and remember that everybody has bad days. Everybody struggles. You're going to have bad days. Trust me, I certainly have had my fair share of them. But it's just about really saying, okay, today isn't good. what do I need to work on? Okay, I'll keep building. If you focus on yourself and focus on your strengths and weaknesses and kind of take stock as to how you're doing, it will really help you not get so overwhelmed. I've been out of dance for about 3 months now, and because of health problems, I feel like I'm going to fall very far behind. I'm not sure when I'm able to go back. I have been doing some of your barre videos at home so I don't lose my technique. Do you have any advice for how I can try and stay caught up? Just keep doing what you're doing. Do what you can. You know, if there's Pilates, or maybe you can do some cross training. My bars are great. I'm so glad you're doing those. It's just about keeping up as much as you can. That's what I did when I was sick. You saw on Instagram yesterday I posted, or 2 days ago. It's been 4 years for me that I've struggled with my illness, and now I'm finally getting back in shape. And so what I did is just did what I could each day. You know, if it was only a barre and that's all I could mentally do, that's what I did. Or some days if I just could stretch, that was fine. But just keep working on your alignment, keep working on your strength. For me, again, personally, this has been a really good time to reassess my technique, fix bad habits. I've been able to sort of go back to square one and rebuild my strength and technique correctly. So look at it as this is your almost restart button. You can really fix things that are wrong. If you had bad habits, you can fix those. But just keep doing what you're doing and just do as much as you can without going crazy. And just, you know, again, if it's only a barre that day that you could do, that's perfectly fine. I'm 13, I really want to become a professional. There are no big ballet schools in my area. Do you think I'm nearing an age where it is time for me to move away from home? I think you're slightly young. Speaking from experience, speaking from what I saw other people at SAB, that's where I was, when they moved, when they started at the school, I'd say 15 or 16, honestly, because if you move away too early, and this is going to sound very, very harsh, if you move to a school too early, you're 13, you're there, you're the new shiny toy that year. But as you get older, there are going to be new students coming in, and if you've been there too long, they're going to be new shiny toys. And the teachers are going to say, oh, this new person. Not that they won't continue to love you and continue to look at you, but they're always looking for new talents and new exciting people. And if you've been there too long, you could get very well pushed aside. Plus, I think 13 is a little young to be leaving anyway, especially if you're going to live in the dorms. I say 15, 16 for a multitude of reasons. So you have time. So just keep building your technique, keep working on your strength and stamina and things, and I would start looking 15, 16. What do you think about the whole politics of the dance industry? I'm working to become a professional contemporary dancer, but it's such a turnoff. Have you found any unfairness in your time? Yes, I've heard of it. Thankfully, I was one of the people that always did what I was told. I never caused any problems. I never demanded for roles. I never really had an attitude about anything. I just did the work, worked my hardest, and I got cast. And I was appreciated for that. I think if you really try and just be kind and not be a problem, there is politics in dance, for sure. I've heard about it, but honestly, I think the wonderful thing about dance in particular than any other industry is you can either do the role or you can't. You either have good enough technique or you don't. So it's not all about politics, because at the end of the day you have to be able to get on stage and look good. So there is some politics in dance, especially ballet. Contemporary, I'm not entirely certain how that works, but with me, I just was never, I tried to always be kind and never be a problem, do work my hardest, and you know, things went well for me. I think, again, because at the end of the day, it's who can do it and who can't. I was wondering if you ever took any other dance classes besides ballet, such as tap or modern, and when you were younger, and I'm interested to know what you thought of them, if so. Yes, I did all the jazz competitions for 2-3 years. I took jazz, did the competition circuit, also competed ballet while I was doing that. There have been so many times in my career where I am so grateful I had jazz training. Truly, especially with some of the balancing ballets, they're very, very jazzy, and I could not have gotten it quickly if I had not taken jazz. Did I like it at the time? Yes, I did. I preferred to be in ballet 100%. That's all I wanted to do. But I knew also that it was really, really important that I was in those other classes. So I encourage you all to, use some other styles, because nowadays with new choreography, new choreographers, there's going to be some new styles of dance. It's not just going to be pure classical Sleeping Beauty. You know, even classical choreographers like Christopher Wilden, his ballets have a slight oddity to them. It's not just pure straight tutus. So you need some other training, and I would encourage you all to do that. How old should a dancer be when she starts pointe if she wasn't able to be a professional dancer? I'm assuming that you didn't start young. If you start young, I'd say 11 or 12. You just have to wait for your bones to be developed enough and you have enough strength. If you're older, past that age, and you're not being a professional and you just want to get on pointe for personal reasons, I think you just need to make sure, again, your ankles are strong enough, you have solid technique. Whether or not there's an age, a certain age number, I don't believe that. I think it's just having strength, technique, make sure your calves are strong, make sure your feet have muscles and they're able to support you. You can balance in flat shoes with no problem. So is there an age? No, but you need to make sure you're strong enough. I'm auditioning for SAB's intensive in a week and I'm really nervous. Can you give me any advice as far as what the teachers are looking for? A lot of you, I probably had 10 of you ask me this. What does SAB want? What does SAB want? The first and foremost, most important thing is they need solid technical dancers. SAB is not the type, at least they weren't in my day, to take somebody who could wrap their leg around their head and do nothing else. So you have to have relatively decent extension, however, it has to be properly placed. They would much rather see 90 degrees perfectly turned out and beautiful than if it's front and your hip is up and it's all wrong, yet you can wrap around your head. You have to be musical. You have to stay on the music. That is a huge, huge SAB, New York City Ballet trait. The music was always our guide, and if you were off the music, you were nailed for it. So be on the music, pay attention, make sure you do the combinations the way the teacher gives them. They're sticklers for that also. You need a decent jump, but again, it's really important that you're just a solid dancer. They used to go around and look at people's feet and look at people's extension. I believe that was only for the younger kids now, though. They don't do that anymore, I don't believe. So just solid dancer, do the combinations the way they give them, and stay on the music. Trust me, that is key with SAB. At SAB and at City Ballet, you are taught that no matter what, you stay on the music. It can be fast, it can be slow, you stay on it. You know, the conductor can have a bad day, so that is your guide, and really, I cannot stress that enough. Body types, they really are taking a lot of different people now. It's not just the twigs anymore. So just, again, be a solid enough dancer. I believe that's what any school would take, not just SAB. Everybody is moving towards being a solid dancer rather than a certain type, or again, crazy extension. If you can wrap your leg around your head, but you can't turn, you can't jump, there's not a lot there. So I think that's true of any school. Just be a solid technical dancer and make sure your placement is correct, you're not cheating. Do the combinations the way they give them, stay on the music, and be interesting. Like we talked a little bit about earlier. Find little moments, don't just do it just on autopilot. Make sure you're, alive, you want to be there, you have something about you that's exciting rather than just, I'm in class. You know what I mean? So again, nothing specific, just general things like that. I attended the SAB summer course in 2014 and I really want to be asked for the winter term this summer when I go back. Any tips on getting accepted into the winter term? It was back in my day, I'm not entirely certain if this is still the case, that you would, if you were interested in staying for the winter term, you would put your name on a list. And they would then know who was interested and who wasn't. If that's the case anymore, I don't know. Same goes for the previous question, what do they look for in auditions? This is the same thing. Be on the music, be a solid dancer, make sure you are alert in class, you look like you want to be there. They're not going to take somebody who goofs off, who's not paying attention. But again, this is true for any school, as we just talked about. But the day you get there, if you get accepted, you go to the summer course. The day you get there, be sure and ask them if there's a list you can put your name on, if they have one, to stay for the winter term. Because you cannot depend on them to come to you. You have to be proactive about it. And if there's a list, put your name on it. I finished performing what was my first principal ballet role, which involved a very intense rehearsal period. My ballet teacher told me I had to rest completely now, and even though I'm allowed to stretch, do ab exercises, etc., I still feel like it isn't enough, and it's very hard for me not to do anything else. Do you think it's better or worse for my health to spend this amount of time off? That depends. We were encouraged when there was a break to take a break, do little things, again, stretching abs, but it is really good for your body to stop the ballet for a bit. Now, how long that is, I probably would take off a week completely, and then I would do a little barre every day after that. Because any amount after that for me, it was trying to go back to square one. So I would make sure, you know, if you've taken off a week with nothing, no ballet, start back slowly. You cannot take off 4 weeks, come back to class, and expect it all to be there. So it is very, very good for your body to take a break, but I don't think there's any harm in doing a little barre after a week or so. You can even, you know, maybe put your pointe shoes on in 2 weeks, something like that. Just very, very gradual, but don't ever stop and then go back completely to class. But do I think it's healthy? Yes. What is the age limit for auditioning for companies? That is a very good question. I'm not entirely certain. I think, again, it's about if you're a solid dancer, you're probably, that's more important than age itself. This is something that I don't know, I honestly don't think I can answer, because it's there's always different cases, there are different scenarios. But I would say if you are 25 and you have yet to be hired into a professional company, and nobody has taken you, you have not gotten any offers, nothing promising has been said, I would maybe try and go a different route. Simply because by that point, companies love taking younger, they love it. If you're transitioning companies, you can be much, much older. That's fine. If you've already danced, you want to audition for a different company, because you've already been a professional, you don't have, there's no 25 is young. So, but if you have not danced professionally, not been accepted to anything by 25, I would say maybe that's time to stop. What tips and advice do you have for an adult who is beginning ballet or starting back after a long hiatus? Anything specifically different from a younger person starting ballet? This probably requires its own video. I want to do that for adult beginners. I'm also on my Powwow classes, which I will link below, my studio. I've been teaching online. Coming soon, I will be starting a beginner ballet class. Very, very basic, you know, just to learn the terms, learn how to do things, but also it will be for advanced dancers who want to just really, really hone their technique. But I will be doing a beginner class. And I really want to save this for another video because there's too many things to tell you, but the biggest thing is to just take one day at a time. You know, little kids, just ballet is fun and they jump over scarves and they, you know, dance around with wands. Adults, it can be frustrating because you know more, you know what it should look like. So just take it one day at a time and don't be hard on yourself, but I will do a whole video on that. When I do a forward bend, I place my hand on the lower rung of the barre. Is that technically correct? You know what? I think I probably do that too. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but as long as your shoulder is not up, if you have to move it because you don't want to be like this, I would say yes, that's absolutely fine. What is it like to be in a company? What do you wear? How fast do they teach the choreography? Also, do you have to stand in lines by your rank in the company, such as core in the back, solos in the middle, and principals in the front, or does it not matter? This probably also requires its own video. I will definitely go into depth, into much more detail about company life. But as far as friends go and standing in class, it doesn't matter. At least at New York City Ballet, it didn't matter. We all stood everywhere. A lot of the principals oftentimes wanted to stand in the back, and the new core members needed to stand in the front so they could be seen. So there's not really an answer to this, but I promise I will do a video on detailed company life, what it's like, what happens, all of that. Is it okay to audition for a summer course even if you don't know the style? Example, audition for SAB even if you don't know balancing. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that, because once you get there, they'll teach you. They don't expect everybody, I know SAB doesn't expect everybody to have balancing training. I certainly didn't when I went. I was clueless. So no, you're absolutely fine. They'll teach you there. How do I stop getting painfully dizzy when I turn? I know how to spot and do it correctly, but I'm very prone to motion sickness and my body doesn't like circular motion. That makes me afraid to do turns, which makes my turns even weaker. I feel like this hinders my ballet development because there's only so much I can do without turning. Oh, I'm sorry you deal with this. That's not fun. However, you can fix it. I think the main thing for you first of all is to, and this is for anyone, make sure you're strong, make sure your legs are strong so that they can releve and support you in the turn, so you don't have to depend completely on the fear or on spotting. Make sure your form is correct. Just do plie, releve, and make sure you can balance for, you know, count 1, 2, and then down. Again, if your body is strong, then the turns will automatically become easier. As far as the spotting goes, I think a lot of people, believe it or not, have very stiff necks when they turn. They don't realize that they kind of look like this. So you have to kind of let the neck go, and it might not, you know, it sounds counterproductive being dizzy, but I get migraines, and I know that when I get a migraine, the back of my neck tightens up so badly that it's really hard to move. So really try and keep the neck loose. You can do some neck stretches, but pay attention to when you're turning. Are you gripping your neck? Or are you just letting the spot happen naturally? That's something I encourage you to see what happens. And just keep practicing. I'm sure you can get to a point where you will not fear it anymore, because a lot of people have problems with turns. It's a confidence thing. You have to be confident, you have to trust yourself. So just keep practicing and try and, again, make sure your legs are strong and work on your neck. Should I hand wash my leotards? That's a great question. I have found with most of them, what I like doing is putting them in the washing machine and then hanging them up to dry. That works perfectly fine, and it also really cleans them. However, the exception are eleves. I've put a couple of eleves in the washer before and they've ripped. So I would recommend with the eleves, hand wash. The rest I have found, especially Yumiko's, they're pretty solid. You can put them in the washing machine so they get really clean and then hang them up to dry. They do not take long to dry at all. What is something that you know now that you wish you knew from the beginning? That's a fantastic question. First and foremost, that everybody's journey is different, and you can have yours all planned out. You can think that you're going to be whatever with whatever company, and it will probably not go according to plan. Everybody's path is different. I could not have foreseen myself getting sick and dealing with this, but if I hadn't, I wouldn't have started the YouTube channel, I wouldn't be teaching online, and now I'm healthy and I can get back. It's just that nobody's path is the same. So you have to just do what you do and not worry about it. There's always going to be somebody who has higher extensions, who can turn more, who has better feet. Just do what you do and enjoy it. Because I spent a lot of my before I got to be a professional, a lot of my younger ballet memories were of me just being paranoid about her and this and that, who can get the leg higher, and just everybody is different and everybody's path is going to be different, and you cannot foresee yours. What was a time in your life where something happened and then you had an epiphany? To be honest with all of you, one of the questions you all have been asking me, which I'm not quite ready to answer yet, is where am I going to audition, what am I doing, all of that kind of stuff. I promise I will take you along in the vlogs, but I'm trying to just keep all of that in to myself right now because I'm not entirely certain. However, about a year or so ago, I thought about going back to New York City Ballet, but I had also been toying with the idea of auditioning somewhere else, and I kind of didn't know what to do, and I just thought, well, maybe I should go back, and I don't know, and I want to try something different and different company, and then I was told Peter had no spots left at New York City Ballet. He said, I have no money to pay you, there's not a spot, I can't add you to the roster. And that was the answer I needed. It was like, it made the decision for me. I was supposed to go and do something else. And since that's when I started the YouTube channel, that's when I started doing the online bits, and now I'm healthy and I can go somewhere else because my strength is my dramatic dancing. I'm very much a classical dancer, and while the New York City Ballet is one of the best in the world, they're moving in a very contemporary direction, and they do a lot of new pieces, and I probably wouldn't have danced all that often. So, you know, which most people love it there, and that's fantastic, and I love watching them. I never would have danced them. So it was almost like it made the decision for me. And now I have, you know, there's so many options out there. And that's not really an epiphany, but it was just the answer I needed to say, you know what, you're not supposed to go back there, you're supposed to go down a different path. And I have not looked back, and I am really happy. The last thing, I had so many questions about fouettes and grand jetés. Each will get its own video, but a lot of you are having problems with fouettes. And I think what people find, again, this will be much, much easier to explain in a video, but you're not using your plie enough and you're not opening side. A lot of people skip side. They do front with the leg and then in, front and in. Make sure you're plieing and make sure you go side. That is something I learned very, very early on, and I haven't had a problem with it. So front open to the side, don't skip it, and in. Again, I'll do another video specifically on fouettes. With grand jetés and saut de chasse, it's about the front foot. That's what it is, in a nutshell. You literally, and I probably would get shot for saying this, you flick the front foot out, that is your momentum, and you can get the split. If you worry about the back leg or you use the thigh, you're either going to be late or you're going to be tilting down. So flick the front foot. Again, easier to explain in a video, but flick the front foot, and that's how you get the big jeté. So that is it for today with the questions. There were so many more. I have a whole nother page. I will get to them next time. Again, you can always leave me a question in the box below. I hope this helped you. If you want to come back in future, remember all of the topics and the times are also in the box below. And I've linked my online studio classes because some of you have still been asking me about those. And the beginning ballet class is coming. So thank you all so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you next time. If you missed my first Get Ready With Me video, you can click it to watch. It's the Christmas Eve version, but more will be coming soon. And also be sure and click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching.